it's crazy to see people going back from Ghost to Call of Duty 4. And I'm just saying, like, man, you guys are late in the party, bro. Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, the first one, was my favorite Call of Duty. I think getting introduced to that game showed me how realism, and it was one of the first games I played that really inspired me to go want to be in the military. I don't know if I ever told anybody this, but I always wanted to be in the military, mainly because of Call of Duty. I'm so glad I didn't, get myself into that because that'd been a big, massive L. Thinking like playing video games is gonna be same as going into the military. But yeah, just playing Call of Duty 4 for the first time, it was cool. Obviously, Black Ops 2 was my first game I played, and then I start working my way back down within the Call of Duty franchise. I first started off with I got Modern Warfare. Yeah, it was Black Ops 2, and then it was Modern Warfare 1, and then Modern Warfare 2, and then the third one I started playing. But it was just that game was something else. It was something. The atmosphere was different. It felt more serious, and something that newer Call of Duties are lacking. It had this like realistic state of progression and depression. Yeah, Call of Duty Run on Time was something else. Like the atmosphere of the games just hit different. It took itself very seriously, I would say. Like it was something that I look back on it and I just wish Call of Duty can go back to just the state of honestly the best time period to tell a story and to deliver something that's unique for the player and give it something good to work with. A lot of the big issues I have with Call of Duty now is it's just too damn goofy. It has all these skins, and it doesn't take itself seriously within the world. Like the older Call of Duty games, even though they were set in the future, like I'll say years after the game was originally released. So I remember in Modern Warfare, the first one, COD 4, 2007, that's when it came out, but the game took place in like 2013 or 14. We are like 10 years ahead of it. So but it was just realistic because obviously there was a fight in Afghanistan, and then they conflicts with Russia. They were trying to use what was going on in real life, but put it in the game and have something inspiring the story. But it was just something that was realistic, and the gameplay, the elements of what brought together the characters, where everything was just so peak around that time. Like it was something unique, and I really appreciated what they were doing. And of course, they made history for a reason. For it coming out the way it did, and it doing what it did back then to sell those records. Yeah, just real briefly, like COD 4 was one of those greatest Call of Duty games I've ever played. It started off the franchise of Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3, and it will be forever known as the GOAT. I personally think it is crazy that people are going back to this game and, seeing it for what it is and actually enjoying the gameplay experience and how simplistic the maps were. The maps were really well done. It first started out the 3-lane maps and really kind of like modified it to where it is now. And I think the maps back then in Call of Duty were perfect. I think it was really good for its time being. It was simple, it was grounded, and it was realistic, it was gritty, and it gave off this feeling like, yeah, like this is can actually set in real time war. So I really appreciated what they were going for with this direction. We're gonna start with the campaign. The campaign was amazing. They got your boy Soap, Captain Price, Gas, Sergeant Foley, Riggs. Man, bro, it was peak, and it was all going against trying to find Al Assad. And there's so many memorable moments in the campaign that really stood out for me. I played the campaign. I played the original Modern Warfare on 360 so many times, and then going over to the remastered, I still find myself being blown away by the original look of the 360 because there's something so grounded about how the game looked. It looked crazy, and the crazy thing about this game, it ran off the engine of the first Call of Duty game that ever came out, and COD 2 and COD 3, and yeah, it's basically off the same engine, but just kind of like graphically updated just a little bit. So there's something unique about it, and that's one of the things that kind of stood out for me about this game. It was something that the graphics were. It told a story, and I think graphics around this time because of 2007, because this is when the 360 era just kind of came out. There's something about this era of gaming. It was after the PlayStation 2 kind of like futuristic era setting and the nostalgic we had. when we got into the 360 games and PS3 games, it was something just really dark and gritty, and had everything like low saturated, and just to tell a story. Now another game I can think of, Killzone, and obviously Gears of War did this a lot of times back in the day. They had the game kind of set, and Bioshock too. Bioshock, they had the game set in this really depressing looking world. I mean, like games around like 2006 to 2008, like had the most depressing looking games I've ever seen. Like just the setting alone was just sad and very, just dark, and you and had this really interesting world view of where the game's going to be set at. 50,000 people used to live here, but now it's a ghost town. Just that atmosphere alone just really like speaks out volumes and stuff. And I remember just playing through the campaign, like all gillied up, being one of my favorite campaign moments of all time in any Call of Duty, in any game, because it really shows the horror of war, and just the creepiness and the vibe that the game will give playing it. Because the majority of the game in COD 4, you're out running a gun and going super soldier, going crazy. But then that campaign mission, you have to be stealth and low key, and it really had one of those games where you can see the world building and seeing the destruction of the nuke and everything, and what the after effect it caused. And yeah, it's one of those things where just the whole campaign of that portion right there, just it sends like chills down my spine. I always get goosebumps playing that part. And I ain't gonna lie, like the first time I played it, I was terrified of getting caught by the enemy. Like I couldn't allow that to happen, so I was just doing whatever I could just not to let that happen. So I just played it, best way of my ability. But yeah, just little memorable moments like that on the campaign was really fun. And going off to the multiplayer, phenomenal, peak, perfect. It was perfect. The Modern Warfare trilogy was, I mean, in my opinion, is probably this campaign really. The campaign started off, and the multiplayer really kicked it off too. The maps were great. Everything about it was just perfect. I mean, dude, the map, the gameplay, the gunplay, the perks, the customization, it all started there. It all started there. You got to remember, this game started off history, and it really did. And I really wish Call of Duty would just go back to how simple this was, because everything was just so simple when it came to this. Because the perks was, all you had to do was 3 kills for a UAV, another kill for a chopper gunner, and then no, for a predator missile, and then you got the chopper gunner, and that was basically it. Then you had marathon, you had one stand. Like I don't think final stand came, when you shoot somebody, and they get last stand. I think they came out one for 2 or 3. And so but they had more balance, like, and a stopping power. They had that, of course, with the perks and stuff, and a lot of things that they had going on in the game. It was just the beginning of something great. And obviously that leads off into Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 kind of goes off, and you can kind of see where they got a lot of inspiration. And of course, they had their graphical jump, and even like implying on the graphics and stuff like that, elevating the story. And I think there's something unique about these games were the graphics and the way they told the stories back then, because in the 2000s they used the limitations to really tell a very well deep and developed story of these characters and what they were going through. And I really appreciated that, even though at the time they said they were graphically limited, it really gave off this impression of a world that was really worn down by war, and it was set in the future, a near future, but something that it's believable, not like how the Call of Duties are nowadays, where everything is so sparkly and bright, and it looks oversaturated, and it's like just not realistic. Playing it, like, it just takes you out. I miss these older Call of Duty games where you had two opposing teams going against each other, not the same skins going against each other during multiplayer. That's one of the things I didn't like about new Call of Duties, where they have the same skins going against each other in the game. I like, it took the fun out of it. Like when you play Star Wars Battlefront, you have the clones, and then you have the CIS, the droids. You have the rebels, and then you have the Empire. You have the First Order, then you have the Resistance. It's like, you have just two teams going. You have red versus blue. You know, it's just common sense to have that visual representation, so you know you're on another team, and it makes you, you know, you hear the voice lines are different, everything. It's just a different feeling. That the Call of Duty games that don't do, like everybody's on the same. They look the damn same, and it takes you out of the belief. It takes you out of the moment, and you believe that, like, okay, like I'm just playing the same person over and over again. Like I'm already that skin. Why am I, you know, attacking myself, but in a different customization or something weird like that? I, I don't know what these developers are thinking. They need to take a step back and go back to Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2007. You already know. I'm going back and replaying a lot of games, so let me know how you guys feel about Call of Duty 4. If you guys are a big fan of that, let me know in the comment section. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and you guys take care and stay safe. Peace.